Coming up on today's show on Dallas Mavericks Today, Harrison Graham, Jeffrey Cooperstein. We're going to take a look at some veteran minimum free agent targets. And Coop, the reason we're doing this is, one, free agency is thinned out. And two, according to Marc Stein, the Mavs don't like any free agents remaining for that mid-level exception. So let's go to the cheap names at this point.
That's kind of what it sounds like, right? I mean, there's very limited options there at the mid-level exception. It's guys like Kelly Oubre, who the Mavs apparently don't have much interest in.
You're not getting P.J. Washington for that price.
And you're not getting P.J. Washington. So it'll be interesting to see what the Mavericks want to do here. And I think there's a multitude of options that they could go with. Do they go the big route? Do they try to find a third guard? They have plenty of options that they could run with here.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So we'll take a look at 10 names plus some honorable mentions that will be interesting as well. Name someone that you guys think the Mavericks should go out and sign. Drop his name in the comments right now. If you want Kelly Oubre, drop his name. I would sign Oubre.
I would too.
I still like the idea of giving Oubre around $8 million, putting Seth Curry into the mid-level, combining those two for the 12.5 and saving the biannual, but doesn't seem like the Mavs are going to go that route. But let us know who you would like to see Dallas sign. All right, Coop, veteran minimum free agent targets. And look, we have to include Christian Wood. He's still out there, and at Summer League, he was getting all friendly like with some Mavs folks. I think this is one of the PR guys.
Yeah, I can't tell who it is, but I mean, Christian Wood clearly still friendly, at least with the Mavericks organization. I just don't see them bringing him back at this point after how last year went. He was an efficient scorer for the Mavs, but there were a lot of off-the-court things that happened that kind of made the Mavs probably not really want to bring him back. Averaged 16 points a game, somewhere around 40% from three. He was an efficient scorer, but at the end of the day, I just don't see the Mavs bringing him back.
Yeah, and look, according to Marc Stein, he's only getting veteran minimum offers. That does speak volumes. I would consider bringing him back for the vet men. Coop's not with me on that, but we'll see. There's been other teams interested, but up to this point, he remains unsigned. Terence Davis, Coop, a player we've talked about a little bit. I think probably the best defensive wing-ish on the market. He's 6'4". He can guard ones and twos, some threes. Shot 36% from three last year. Not bad. Sacramento renounced his right, so he is unrestricted. For the vet men, I'm in. I mean, I don't think he'd be a regular rotation guy, but certainly a guy, if there was an injury, who could pop in and I think be better than a player like Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah, he kind of fell out of Sacramento's rotation last year after being in it in the first 2 years, and Sacramento was obviously one of the best teams in the Western Conference. I think he does provide a little bit of versatility on the defensive end, and the Mavericks apparently have shown interest at some point. And I don't know to what level of that interest, if anything, has ever materialized in an offer or anything like that, but the Mavs have definitely been rumored to be interested at least in Terence Davis, so we'll see where that one goes.
We'll go to Terrence with 2 R's, Terrence Ross, who got moved to Phoenix midway through last year. I can't remember if that was a trade or a buyout.
No, that was a buyout,
sign.
And the Mavs were apparently the favorite. You remember that?
I do remember that.
He was bought out, and then the Mavericks were the favorite to sign him, and then all of a sudden Phoenix swooped in and got him.
And then Dallas ended up signing Justin Holiday instead. That's right. Now, how could I forget the Ross miss and Holiday hit?
How can you forget?
Sequence. But Ross didn't play that great for Phoenix after that move, but he's kind of been a flamethrower at times in his career with Orlando. He doesn't offer a ton defensively, but gives you a bigger wing than some of the other ones available on the open market. Again, vet minimum, he's a guy who can score 10-ish points per game.
He can go score the rock. I mean, he's a guy who's a veteran scorer of the basketball. He's been there and done it in the league. He's someone I wouldn't mind the Mavs spending $2.8 million on.
Exactly, and that's kind of true with this guy as well. I think I'd rather have Ross just because Warren's injuries, TJ Warren, really have seemed to catch up with him, Cooper. Man, he was dropping 50 points in the bubble.
He averaged 20 points a game one year. I mean, before his injuries, he was an absolute bucket. And I still think the Mavs could use a guy like him as well. He's a guy who has defensive versatility. And if he somehow finds maybe even half of the form he has and gives you 12 points a game, you found a bargain there on the free agent minimum targets market.
Yeah, similar type of options there. I think Warren's a better like ISO scorer type. Ross, more of a guy who plays within the flow of the offense. So I'd be fine with either of these players in the veteran minimum. I'd also be fine with Derrick Jones Jr., Coop. I mean, a freaky athlete. We know the Mavs have been interested in the past. He can play above the rim for his size. Pretty decent defender, too. He's a guy that I don't think would be in the regular rotation, but I think he'd be a matchup player. Like against certain teams, you could plug him in, have him play some defense. So I think I would be interested in Derrick Jones for the vet minimum.
Yeah, he's not going to give you much on the offensive end, but he will give you defense and athleticism, and teams are always looking for that kind of thing on the open market.
And we're looking for you guys to hit that subscribe button.
That's what they call a tease.
Because we are
transition.
Yeah, transition tease. You know, we're mixing up our T words here. Subscribe to the channel for more Mavericks updates throughout the NBA offseason, news, rumors, free agency, and a whole lot more. Don't miss out. Coop and I got you covered. All right, Coop, let's enter the YOLO realm of the show.
Why not?
Listen, the Mavs have been rumored to want to add centers. DeMarcus Cousins was lighting it up in Puerto Rico. He's not going to defend a lit, Coop, but we saw even just 2 seasons ago for the Nuggets, he would randomly have games where he dropped 15, 20 points. He's still a professional scorer. The problem is he can't do anything else. I mean, he's had so many injuries. He can't defend, but he's still skilled offensively.
He's still skilled offensively, and the Mavericks are still looking for a center last I checked. So it would be something where if the Mavs I think if they found an upgraded center via a trade, then they would go and sign a guy like DeMarcus Cousins.
Well, here's an example, right? The trade that was rumored for DeAndre Ayton. If you shipped out Holmes and JaVale McGee,
exactly.
Well, a spot opens up at center.
Then you sign.
Take a chance
like
on Boogie.
Cousins.
Who cares, right? He's like your 15th guy on your.
But you're not signing DeMarcus Cousins as the roster is currently.
No, absolutely not. And that's true with Dwight Howard as well. Now, obviously, Dwight, he's been playing in Taiwan. He's kind of the opposite. He is still pretty athletic. He is good defensively. He's not going to give you a ton offensively, but we know he can rebound and alter shots.
I wanted the Mavs to bring in Dwight Howard last year when they were having rebounding problems. He would have been a perfect fit, I think, for him. Yeah. But he was over there in Taiwan, and he played great, obviously. I still think he can be a bench player on an NBA team.
Yeah, and look, it seems like both these players are interested in returning to the NBA. JaMychal Green, who had a bit of a role with the Warriors. He's kind of a 4-5 hybrid, stretch 4 type, shot 38% from 3 a year ago. If you want a guy who can space the floor in your front court.
Had a little disappointing season there in Golden State. I think they were expecting a little more out of him and to have a little bit of a bigger role, but he's still a guy that can defend 3s and 4s as well and knock down some shots.
No doubt. Danny Green, who...
Here we go again.
Look, remember when he used his podcast to screw over the Mavs? Never forget. But he got some playoff run with the Cavs when they were looking for answers to try and slow down Jalen Brunson.
And he had a serious injury as well, so coming back from that, people were surprised he even played last year as well. Look, if Danny Green can still knock down the corner 3, I'm kind of in.
If the medicals check out and it may be a year removed from the injury, he's ready to go. 1-year vet min. I mean, championship experience. I don't think he's going to give you quite the defense he used to, but he can guard 2s and 3s. He's got a smooth jump shot as a catch-and-shoot guy. I'm in. I mean, even if he's not in your rotation, like he's a guy.
Him and Marc Cuban are rumored to be close as well, so that's something that could happen down the road.
Yeah, I like that. Mentioned Frank Ntilikina too. I don't think there's a ton of room for him, but if you're interested in a guy like Terence Davis, I mean, Frank Ntilikina would do similar things. I don't think he's as capable as a catch-and-shoot 3-point shooter, but you know what you have there. He's a guy who can defend multiple positions. He just doesn't give you much offensively. Certainly wouldn't be in the rotation, Coop, but on load management nights, you can plug and play him, and it's not going to be an absolute disaster.
I think the signing of Dante Exum was a direct replacement for Frank Ntilikina because
Agreed.
They both kind of do the same thing. Exum's slightly better ball handler. So I don't really see a spot for Ntilikina on this roster, but like I said, if they have that open roster spot and Ntilikina's still a guy out there, it's not the worst idea in the world.
A great idea, by the way, is to get these jerseys. These Luka Doncic jerseys are on sale for a limited time only at chatsports.com/Luka Jersey. Tons of threads available for you guys, and I'm not talking about the social media app. Chatsports.com/Luka Jersey. Check out the different styles, sizes that are available. That link will be in the comments and in the description of this video. Click and shop today. Get yourself a 77 jersey. And congrats to Luka for getting engaged. And Coop, these 5 veterans, some who have not played in the NBA recently, some who played last year, John Wall, Bismack Biyombo, working out for teams in Vegas during the Summer League. John Wall, Isaiah Thomas, Dion Waiters, who hasn't played since 2020, Ben McLemore and Bismack Biyombo. I think Biyombo falls into that Dwight Howard, DeMarcus Cousins kind of grouping, Coop, of if you make a trade for a center and move 2 centers to do it and you want to bring him in as your third center, he could fill that void. But otherwise, I don't think he'd be realistic. Other guys, look, send a scout out there to watch him work out. If you see something, great. If not,
no harm.
I'm not super interested to begin with. But
Biyombo's frankly the only guy on this list that I'm even remotely interested in, just because when you look at the Mavericks centers, Richaun Holmes, Dwight Powell, Derek Lively, I think Biyombo might be one of the top 4 best in that roster.
He's better than McGee, I'd say, but beyond that.
McGee stinks. I think Biyombo's a little bit better. Biyombo's been decent. I mean, he's
had a good career.
He can block some shots. He's played almost 800 games in the league. When I was looking that up today, I didn't even realize that. He can block some shots. He can rebound a little bit. So he can provide some sort of value to this Mavericks.
John Wall's sort of interesting because you still don't have a true bench point guard. And if you just want somebody that in a pinch can give you 10 minutes, I guess him. But
sure,
the fact that the Clippers just kicked him to the curb kind of tells me a lot because, look, I'm not saying they're a smart organization, but Ty Lue's a smart head coach. The fact that they were able just like, yeah, we're done with him is kind of telling to me that he might just be totally cooked. Like, it could be like Kemba last year, who they brought him in. Yeah, sure, he has the one random.
He had the one game against Cleveland.
But he doesn't defend at all, and it's just one of those deals where it might be time to hang him up for John Wall. But he's the one guy that somewhat intrigues me as a potential bench point guard. But beyond that, not a ton of interest in those players.
I just really don't think they need a guard like John Wall in general, just because you have Luka and Kyrie and Hardy who are going to take all the minutes at guard, and then you have Dante Exum as well. So hopefully you don't need a guy, because if you did, that means at least 2 of those guys got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, if Exum is your out of the rotation but occasionally plays 4th guard, I mean, you probably don't need John Wall. So that's kind of where you sit. What is the biggest area of need for the Mavs? Center and wing, I still think, are spots you could upgrade at. Let us know in the comments, and appreciate you for watching Dallas Mavericks Today.